So it was 2 a.m. in the emergency room. I was a medical intern, exhausted, running on coffee and adrenaline. Just then, a middle-aged woman was wheeled into the emergency room in severe allergic reaction. I remember putting my coffee away, standing up, and recollecting each and every step I was taught to treat patients in this reaction. Airway, check. Breathing, check. Circulation, check. Adrenaline shot, check. Clinically, everything seemed perfect. Patient was stabilized. But when I looked at the patient, something didn't feel right. As I looked at her, her breathing was eased, but she was still trembling. Her eyes darted away, her voice was shaking. So I remember feeling, well, I stabilized this patient, but I don't think I've addressed her fear. Now, fast forward to a few years later, when I started my private practice, I thought, like most of us, healing is measurable, and it's measured in progress charts, lab reports, and by documenting before and after pictures, very crucial for us dermatologists. Until one day, I had a young patient who came in to see me. She was 28 years old, brilliant, articulate, having a successful, thriving career, but hiding behind her mask. When I looked at her, her face was filled with red, angry-looking, inflamed acne. So I started asking her medical history, and the patient, without hesitation, promptly interrupted me, and she said, "Doctor, I stopped meeting people. I turn off my camera during Zoom calls, and I have no interest in looking at myself in the mirror anymore. My parents even tell me I will not get married if I look like this." I paused as my heart sank, because she was not talking something familiar or about acne anymore. This was the first time a patient had confided in me her deepest insecurities, and I saw somebody so vulnerable. The room was heavy with her words. The silence cut deep. So she went to 4 dermatologists already. She tried all the treatments, peels, and products that were there for treating acne, but nothing seemed to work. All her lab reports were normal, but what wasn't normal was her spirit. So that day I realized I was not just going to treat her acne, but I had to fix the shame that came with it. I was just not going to heal her skin, but I also had to heal her from within. So I started to dig deep. I asked her about her diet, stress, and sleep. She broke down with tears rolling down her cheeks, and she told me that her work was overwhelming and she hadn't slept in weeks. Taunts at home weren't helping either, so she was just surviving on coffee and some comfort junk food. So her body was not reacting to medicines because it was reacting to an inflammatory lifestyle. So I realized my medical degree has taught me how to treat acne, but not address the anxiety it came with. It taught me how to prescribe medicines, but not build a healthy lifestyle. Medicine taught us precision, right? How to measure, record, analyze, diagnose, treat. But the patients and the world around us was asking for something more: context and conversation, treatment with care. And that moment planted what was going to be called as the DNA 360 program, which I'm extremely proud of, a program that treats all the conditions from its root. Now, we spent years learning the anatomy of body, but not the anatomy of the conversation. We learned physiology of diseases, but not that of true healing. We also learned biochemistry of medicines, right? But not the biochemistry of care. So patients were no longer walking to us with just questions, thanks to Google search answers and even influencers. So they are coming us with knowledge a little bit already, but what they wanted from us was context and our perception. So as doctors, we suddenly find ourselves wearing multiple hats as educators, communicators, counselors, and if you have a private practice, you are even an entrepreneur. All these roles which were out of syllabus and nothing prepared us to face them with courage, right? This mismatch is not a small gap anymore. It's a grand big canyon, and the only way that we are going to bridge this gap is to evolve and adapt. Because the anatomy of doctor cannot just be on muscle and memory anymore. It has to extend beyond our syllabus. It's an extension of our personality, of our mindset, and the skills we develop on the way. We were trained entirely in the flux, the modern, data-driven, fast-changing science, but our patients are suffering from a lack of timeless, the ancient foundational principles. And what are they? The balance, purpose, and connection. And that's why I say to practice medicine today, just one degree is not enough. We all need a second degree, a degree that's not built in just textbooks or in classrooms. This second degree is built in the corridors of our real life experiences by listening, leading, and learning beyond syllabus. While the first degree gives us knowledge and certificates we can proudly hang on our walls, this second degree gives you credibility that cannot be framed, and it gives you stories that you carry in your heart. So the new anatomy, when I think of future of healthcare in the new anatomy, I don't think of a heart that just pumps blood. I don't think of a brain that analyzes data, and I don't think of a spine that just keeps us upright. But this new anatomy has three important organs, which has empathy as the heart that makes this experience human, which has technology as the brain, which helps us think faster and connect wider, and a spine that not just keeps us upright, but keeps the profession and ties it all together. The heart. As a practicing dermatologist, every single day, I just don't see diseases of skin and hair, but I see how they can affect someone's confidence and comfort in the most damaging way. Cases like a musician who gave up his banking career in the pursuit of his passion for music, who stopped giving stage performances because he was becoming extremely conscious of his baldness. We have teenagers who stop going to college because they are being constantly bullied for their acne. Or an IT professional who wears thick jackets even in summer to control their flakes and hide their psoriasis. So my dear friends, every disease, please remember, has two sides to it. One, visible physical symptoms, and two, invisible emotional scars. The one that can be picked up on lab reports and can be seen with your naked eyes, while the other that hides in shame, fear, and silence. This is not a new discovery, it's a rediscovery that the ancient Charaka Samhita spoke of Sata Vijaya Chikitsa. It's the healing of the mind or psychotherapy as a primary pillar of medicine which is equal to drugs and diet. It's the timeless understanding that you cannot fix a symptom if you cannot treat the body as a whole. So what fascinates me the most about empathy is not just its kindness, but pure chemistry. When a patient feels genuinely heard, right, the body responds psychologically. When a silent reassurance or a gentle touch, this sort of empathy is known to reduce cortisol, a stress hormone that significantly delays healing by increasing inflammation. At the same time, it also has the power to increase the release of oxytocin, which is the hormone of care and connection, which helps in faster healing by boosting immunity, and it can also increase pain tolerance. That's the power of empathy, and that's the power of connection. It just doesn't change how people feel, it even changes how each and every cell responds. So empathy is often perceived as the soft part of medicine, the gentle part of medicine. But let me tell you today, it's the most profound, invisible part of your prescription. It's medicine in its most human form, and this is the heartbeat that makes every single treatment work. The brain. Technology to me is the brain of modern healthcare. It allows us to think faster, connect wider, way beyond the walls of our clinic. When I started making medical content years ago when social media was not even a thing, it was not a marketing decision. It was a moral one. Because I saw misinformation spread faster than medicine. I saw viral home remedies trending, and I also saw miracle creams being sold like science with so much audacity. I would meet people who would go to pharmacies buying the so-called fairness or skin whitening creams in the pursuit of fairness. Welcome to India. Little did they know that they had damaging ingredients that could have long-lasting or even irreversible damage to the skin. On the other spectrum, I had the DIY enthusiasts who were looking at the videos made by the influencers and literally marinating their skin in lemon juice, baking soda, whatnot, and would come to me with skin burns. Why were these people believing internet so much? Because nobody from science was speaking their language. So it got me thinking, if doctors will not show up in spaces like these, someone else will. And guess who has to pay the price for it? Our patients. So I started showing up, not as an influencer, but as a skin educator. I simplified science. I broke what was complex, and I made scientific information become accessible, heard, and usable to the audience. So now I shifted the consultations from one-on-one in my room and took it to the camera where I could address thousands, lakhs, or even millions at once. That's the power of technology. Thank you. So this journey taught me something very powerful. Technology does not make doctors less human. Technology gives science and humanity to the power of a louder microphone. Technology can take you places you haven't heard of. It can make your voice reach the places you haven't heard of. It can open the doors you never knew existed, and it can bring you opportunities you never even dreamt in your wildest dreams. And now with AI entering the system, this microphone just got way smarter. AI can read patterns, analyze thousands of images, and give you diagnosis in seconds. It can even tell you the early signs of cancer. It can give you a personalized treatment protocol. So it's like having some of the best doctors from all around the world with data from all around the world given to you in seconds. It's just that they work tirelessly and much faster. But let me tell you, AI can recognize patterns, not the pain. AI can give you diagnosis, but cannot reassure. AI can predict, but it cannot care. And that's where we come in and why we are irreplaceable. So I think the future of medicine is in the hands of doctors who work with AI and not compete against it. We should see technology not as a threat, but as an ancient tradition. Again, in India, Sushruta, the father of surgery, was a technologist. He designed over 120 surgical tools, not to replace the healer, but to extend the hands of healer. To make impossible possible, and AI is that new scalpel. It's a flux tool that must be wielded with timeless wisdom. That means, guys, we need to level up. We need to see how AI reads, so we can diagnose the bias and correct it. We need to see how the data moves, so the patient's privacy or ethics is not just an afterthought. We need to learn how AI interprets insights, because even the best algorithm still needs a great clinician. AI does not replace empathy. It can help us scale it by reducing our documentation work, freeing up our time that we can actually put in connecting and treating people, our real jobs. Technology pushes the boundaries, AI rewrites them, but it's the humanity that gives it a direction and purpose. The spine. In the modern healthcare, I look at leadership as spine. Leadership to me is something that holds everything upright. When systems fail, when the team burns out, when uncertainty hits, it's the spine that holds it all together. Early in my career, I thought leadership was for people with titles, medical directors, founders, CEOs, COOs, etc. But later I realized every doctor is a leader in their own right. Every time you calm a panicking parent, every time you mentor a junior, every time you stand up for ethics, and every single time you stand tall when others bend under the system's pressure, you are a leader in your own right. And this again is ancient principle, the Hippocratic Oath. It's the timeless moral code that holds the flux of technology and the compassion of heart in a perfect alignment. So for me now, the leadership is less about managing clinics, but it's become more about shaping the ethics of a culture and culture of the clinic, where people have space to learn without fear, where they question you without hesitation and can grow beyond limits. Leadership translates chaos into direction, pressure into purpose, disagreement into dialogue, and burnouts into belonging. So when I think about the future of medicine and where it is headed, I don't see a divide between science and soul. I see a bridge that connects it. And doctors have to be the first to walk across this bridge. The future of healthcare will not be just built in labs or classrooms. It's built in conversations, innovations, and quiet courage to lead differently. The world around us will keep changing faster than ever, relentlessly and unpredictably. Careers are no longer unidimensional, my dear friends. It's going to be multi-dimensional influence. Because everything, like everything in life, medicine is also in constant flux, evolving, adapting, and transforming, and yet the purpose, the core, remains timeless. That's the paradox of our profession. We heal through change, but what's the core never changes. So as doctors, as humans, our challenge is to keep evolving, to grow timelessly in the flux of our own making. That's the doctor's second degree, and that's what it means to live in the timeless flux. Thank you.